Good evening. IBAC, or the Independent Broad-Based Anti-Corruption Commission, was established in 2011 by a piece of legislation of the same name, which investigates corrupt conduct, which is anything from the dishonest performance of a public servant in their duties, or the misuse of information, or anything that adversely affects the honest performance of a public officer, and most especially a reckless breach of public trust. In this function, they predominantly will investigate government bodies and Victoria Police especially to ensure that they are living up to their ethical and moral standards. IBAC does face several challenges in monitoring the police. For example, the first and foremost issue they face is they have no power to arrest and detain people. They can only issue a summons for them to be interviewed, which is primary method of gaining witnesses for a trial, but as they aren't a policing body, they can't get evidence and information off people directly. And a lot of people, myself included, feel this limits them in a huge amount of ways. Limits them in their functions as an investigative body, limits them in their function as a anti-corruption body. They can't simply go and collect the evidence they think they need for a case. They have to accept the testimony of the people they're interviewing, even if they have had a chance to be coached by lawyers or team members who are also corrupt. It leaves a lot of open leg room, essentially, for people to wiggle out of their responsibility. One of the major setbacks that IBAC has faced, one of the major issues IBAC faces in investigating Victoria Police is a budgetary one. Anyone who has looked over the numbers could tell you that Victoria Police annually receives something like $3.7 billion from the government, whereas IBAC will receive something in the tune of $40 million, which is 91 times smaller than what Victoria Police gets. Which will tell you, in essence, the challenge that IBAC faces. Now, IBAC's main role is essentially that of a police watchdog. They exist. They say to police, government corruption and corruption as a whole, but they spend a lot of their time and resources investigating matters of police dishonesty. Yet again, we run into this issue of sort of setbacks and misappropriation of funds, because even though they do set themselves up as an investigative body of the police, they only will investigate 2% of all matters that are brought before them regarding the police. Most matters that are brought before them are handled internally by the police, by the Professional Standards Command within the police. This leads us to discuss the serious effects of IBAC as a corruption, the serious effects that IBAC has in handling corruption within the police, and whether or not they are actually a watchdog for the integrity of the criminal justice system. Many would say that despite the problems IBAC faces, it has admirably withstood and had direct influence on the way Victoria Police operates. No one can really take out of their minds the events leading to the Royal Commission into the Management of Police Informants, a series of events which was started by IBAC of initially investigating Nicola Gobbo and her involvement as an informant for the police in over 400 cases. Since that time, the Royal Commission has investigated about 2,000 different convictions and has said that Nicola Gobbo's testimony has had an effect on all of those matters. So IBAC is effective, but it is nowhere near as effective as it could be. IBAC does not have the power to search and arrest suspects. We went over that before. It only addresses 2% of all complaints made about police misconduct. The rest of them fall within the police internal structure. The police themselves are against IBAC. They publicly coach their members to avoid talking to IBAC, and it's accepted knowledge that the Anti-Corruption Commission is beneficial to the public. So there is a lot of good support for IBAC, and that's what we need these days.